It's the Kyle Hyman Show on Redeemer Radio.
This is Kyle Hyman, and joining us for an update on what's going on at the Hannah's House is the executive director there, John Meiser. Thanks for being here, John.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
It's good to have you. Tell us about Hannah's House. What is your mission, and what is some of the work that you're doing there?
Well, Hannah's House, we're in Mishawaka, Indiana, and so what our goal of our programming is to help pregnant women who are facing homelessness begin this process of transformation, which we believe is in tandem with the relationship with Jesus, but we don't force anybody to follow Jesus or anything. So we do a healthy dose of Jesus and also a lot of social work, social service work, teaching the women to skills that they'll need to be on their own. But our program it's really a 2 to 3 year program, hopefully, from the time they enter into our maternity program all the way through our phase 4, which is finding stable housing, secure, safe housing with rental assistance and things. And so a 2 to 3 year process, and in the church world, we would call that discipleship. So that's what we do.
How long have you been involved with it?
I have been on staff for about a year and a couple months. I started in November of 2018. I think I'm the only male they've ever hired, but I thought they were a little bit crazy for doing that because I didn't know much about pregnant women other than my wife been pregnant a couple times.
Sure.
But it's really been an amazing journey to see as a male, for most of our women, they come in with codependency on men, the wrong males in their life, and many didn't have a relationship with fathers and things. So I hate to admit this, but I'm sort of like a father figure.
Sure.
And it's been really cool to, I used to work in the church world full time, in ministry. And so to re-energize Jesus into our organization, but also to have some strategies and just, being a male voice is really positive.
Yeah. So how has working with Hannah's House impacted you?
Well, I didn't exactly know why God was calling me into this right away. I actually tried to do the whole Moses thing, right? Like, I can't do this. I don't know anything about it. I don't want to do it. And he just continually pressed on me, I need you to do this. I need you to do this. I'm like, wow, I don't want to do that, right? And so, but, we're all called to be obedient, right? I didn't want that to be the conversation with Jesus. Like, welcome home. Let's talk about this disobedience thing you got going on. And so accepted the role, and it really has changed me to just realize that no matter where I am, if I'm working full time in a church, or I'm working at Hannah's House, or wherever I am, that I'm in full. We're all called to be ministers, right? To care for people, and we are a ministry here. It's not a typical church, but no matter where I am, I'm going to be in ministry, and it's just been fun to watch God kind of work through me and with me as we transform, not only our staff, but, we've had women who've come in that didn't know God. They knew about God. They didn't know they have a relationship with God, or some didn't even believe in God. And to see them accept Jesus through our staff, the work of our staff and things has just been, we're not just changing their lives, they're changing their eternities, right? And so it's been really cool to witness that and just impacted other areas of my life. No matter where I am, I'm going to be, we can be the church. So, which is what Jesus said. It's the people, not the building. So
it's so cool to see things like this that are helping women in need. And I think sometimes the pro-life movement gets the accusation of, all you care about is the unborn babies. And then once they're born, you're not around to help out. And this is proof to the contrary that there are people, and many of them, that are helping not just throughout a pregnancy, but also beyond that too. What is the process that a woman goes through when they come to Hannah's House? At what point in their pregnancy do they usually come? And then what kind of services do you offer throughout to support them?
I mean, our goal is to get the earlier we get them in their pregnancy, the better, because we have them with us for longer. And we know that while they didn't get where they are in, 2 months, they got there over years. And it's going to take years to help them change and transform their life. So we're in it for the long haul. So the sooner we get them, the better. Most women come to us in their second trimester or later, because in the first trimester, I've never been pregnant, but I've been told in the first trimester, many women don't really necessarily feel pregnant, and it's not uncomfortable and things. But in the second trimester, rotating couches of friends, going to different friends' homes and sleeping on couches, starts getting uncomfortable. The friends start to realize, like, wow, and not too long, there's not going to just be you here. There's going to be a baby here, and I'm not so great with that. And so that's when we, the only entry point into our program is through our LEAP home, which is on 4th Street in Mishawaka. It's the original Hannah's house. That's all we were, is just a maternity home. And so they come in there, through a pretty extensive admissions process. So we're not a shelter. We're very open and honest about that. If they're looking for just a bed, food, and a safe place, while we offer that, that's not all we offer. We have expectations and we have classes and things. So we've just, over the last year, rewritten our curriculum. And so they move into the home at the beginning. They're in a process called Phase 1. Phase 1 is typically about 60 days. It depends. So think about colleges. There's a series of course offerings in different areas, mind, body, soul, and there's 22 required credits in that, and there's 3 elective credits that they get to choose. And so once they complete their 25 credits, they will graduate into Phase 2. So Phase 1 and Phase 2 are all in our LEAP maternity home. And so things like baby basics, safe sleep, health and nutrition or healthy eating, to spiritual growth. We don't require them to go to church. We actually do church. So we do an alpha curriculum. We do this discipleship pathway stuff with them to help them grow in their relationship with Jesus, not just know Jesus, but grow relationship with Christ. And then from there, they can choose if they graduate into Phase 2. So that can take about a year and a half, the whole pregnancy at LEAP and up to about 4 months. Once they find a job in childcare, we have a home across the street called our transition home, the Killalay home, and that's Phase 3 programming. So they start to pay rent. We do collect rent from them, but we hold that in a special account. So when they're on their own, we can use that to subsidize some of their rent and as far as like savings, because it's much better for us to say, well, you helped yourself. We're not just giving you, but you actually helped yourself by paying the rent. They also start choosing small choices like pay for the internet in the Killalay home and how do I get my food. There's not 24-hour staffing there like in our maternity home. And they can live there for a year. There's ongoing programming there. So that's Phase 3. About midway through Phase 3, we partner them up with a mentor or mentors. It depends on the personality, and they want a larger group of mentors if they want 2 or 3. And so that we start building relationship training mentors there. So when they get out into Phase 4, which is we help them find an apartment and help them subsidize their rent, and they still have programming. It transitions from our staff to this mentor group who is their support structure. So, not financially supportive, but just spiritually supportive, and just, I'm sick today or the baby's sick today, but I still have to go to work. Is there anybody in the group that can, watch the baby for a few hours or whatever? And so, again, that's all ongoing training. And then when they're through Phase 4, they generally have a decent amount of money saved because we could continue to collect rent from them, and then we pay the landlords that we work with. Hopefully after the 3 years, it's stable, they're self-sufficient. We have ongoing training for alumni, classes and different things, incentives. But, really we're hoping at the end of that 3 years, they have a relationship with Christ, and they have a home, a bed, food, safe place to live, and they're supporting themselves. In the best case scenario, that's a win all the way around because it's completely transformative to their life.
Yeah. So what is the biggest need that you see women in crisis pregnancies are dealing with?
I haven't met one that hasn't come into our program with a codependency, this addiction or this codependency of men. That's generally, and this false sense of identity. They believe this about themselves. The world has told them that this is who they are. I think Satan has a fair share in that as well. So that's the biggest hurdle to get over, is to help switch their identity, because their identity has domain over everything in their life, right? So if they believe that they're a daughter of the living God, if they believe that they're courageous, they believe they're beautiful, they believe all these different things, we want to replace those lies with truth. And once we help them do that, and once they buy into that, that changes who they are, which ultimately determines what they do. So who they are determines what they do. So we don't get to the what they do part. You need to change this and change this. That's self-help. We want to get to the core, the inner turmoil in their life, and help them determine, no, this is who I am. This is why when I go out, I'm not going to do this, and I'm not going to do this, and I'm not going to do this, because this is who I am, and this is the expectation. This is what God's called me to do, type of thing. So in a perfect world, they buy into all that and completely change who they are and the choices they make after. But it's an ongoing struggle because we've had women in the sex trade. They've worked in the sex trafficking world. They've been told that they're a loser and they're a bum and they're this and that their entire life. So it takes a long time telling them, nope, you're loved and you matter and you're awesome and we're proud of you and you're courageous and you're beautiful and all those things. It's repetitive, and some of them don't ever believe it, but many of them do, and they've never really been loved. And so that's our goal, is to really unapologetically love them right where they are, for who they are.
Yeah. So what are some of the needs? How can people get involved and support what you're doing?
Well, because we are self-funded, we take no government support or any grants, and we don't build. We have grants to private foundations and things, but because we want to keep Jesus at the center of all this, and we don't want to have any red tape or what we can say or do, we're completely self-funded. So for 26 years, people in our community have supported Hannah's House and the work that we do very, very generously. And so that's obviously, you have to have funding to pay for staff and the homes we have and the supplies and those type of things. And then obviously volunteers are another big part of what we do. So last year, 2018, we had 726 volunteers that came through and helped at Hannah's House in some way, shape, or form. 2019, we really focused on not just a quantity, but a quality. So we want to get people more engaged. And so we have a volunteer orientation where everybody understands like what we do, what we don't do, why we do what we do, why we don't do what we don't do, yeah. And understanding of Hannah's House, and that we don't want to be a toxic charity. We want to really make sure we're not hurtful, but we're helpful. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is, we have a wish list, gift cards and things like that are always helpful. But, some people don't have those resources to do any of those things. They don't have any time or treasure that they can spare at this point. So I guess the biggest thing anybody that's listening could do would just be to champion and to share the story of Hannah's House, that it's vitally important for our community. And someone asked me the other day, like, what's the ultimate goal? I don't exactly know, but I think, man, what if every county in America had a Hannah's House? Because we have women come from Minnesota, this is since I've been here, Minnesota, West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Michigan. What if every county and across the country had a place that used our model to support these women? Because it's everywhere. It's an epidemic. So that would be my suggestion, is that anybody can share the story of Hannah's House.
Sure.
So.
All right. Where can people go to find more information about it?
Always go to our website. You can go to www.hannashhousemichiana.org, or to make it easy, you could just go to www.hh, as in Hannah's House, hhmitch.org. You'll go to hannashhousemichiana.org, but you'll have to type in as much. You can always give us a call and stop by we have a business office. Stop by our business office, learn more, come to a volunteer orientation, and learn where you can plug in. And we plug anybody in to help in some way, shape, or form. So if you have a skill in graphic design or finance, or you just love loving people, or you are construction, maintenance, IT, whatever. Sure. We're a very small but mighty staff, but we can't do what we do without volunteers.
All right. Again, that's hhmich.org or hannashhousemichiana.org. All right. Well, thank you so much, John, for the great work that you guys are doing and for just sharing a little bit of it with us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.